the station that's on your side. This is News 12, first at 5.
Crews working around the clock to clean up after an Augusta train derailment. We'll take you live to the scene there, which is finally clear this evening. But first, big news on the vaccine rollout in Georgia. Georgia Governor Kemp announcing those next on the list will be able to start getting vaccines March 8th. Those groups include pre-K through 12 educators and staff, adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their caregivers, and parents of children with complex medical conditions. Governor Brian Kemp says his office is working diligently to get shots in arms for anyone who wants them.
These vaccines are a miracle of modern science that will get us back to a regular way of life, and we will utilize every state resource to ensure anyone who wants to be vaccinated gets that opportunity as soon as possible.
Coming up in the next half hour, we will hear more from the governor, as well as Georgia's lieutenant governor, who was in Augusta just hours ago. He was visiting an AU vaccine clinic today. We are learning much more today about a train derailment in Augusta last night. Today, a spokesperson from Norfolk Southern says their train was just pulling out of their yard when it hit a CSX train. News 12 Sydney Heiberger joins us now live from the scene off New Savannah Road. And Sydney, what's it looking like out there this evening?
Well, Meredith, crews on the scene here left about an hour ago. They had been working here since 6 o'clock last night when this incident happened all day. I'm going to actually pan you over here and show you where it happened. You can kind of see some of those dented shipping containers still on the side here. This is where it happened. In fact, some of those containers actually fell over the railing, but we're going to show you some video of what this scene looked like earlier. We know that the lead locomotive of the Norfolk Southern train came off the tracks but did not tip over. The crew on that train, we're told, did seek medical attention for what they say are non-life-threatening injuries. Meanwhile, 4 cars carrying 18 shipping containers toppled over near that water that you just saw here on that CSX train. Fortunately, none of those crew members were hurt, and we're told no hazardous materials spilled out.
We as an industry, I know Norfolk Southern especially, and our partners at CSX, we work to prevent these things from happening because they have a community impact, they also have a business impact.
Yeah, and like we said, the scene out here a lot more quiet than it was earlier in the day. And we actually know this track is now operational. A few minutes ago, we saw a train coming back and forth now. Tonight on 6 o'clock, we're going to hear more from a representative from Norfolk Southern about what this cleanup effort entailed. Meredith?
All right, thanks for that, Sydney. And of course, our crews, those cleanup crews, were out all day yesterday, and it has been a beautiful day to be outside. Chief Meteorologist Riley Hale taking a look at our temperatures. And Riley, this is one of those days that you want to play hooky from work, or you hope that you're actually able to work outside. It's just beautiful.
It really is, Meredith. Fantastic weather again for us this afternoon. We're actually hitting the 80s in some spots for the first time since mid-November. So the warmest air we have seen in quite some time, even considering the warm days we've had the past few. We're only at 75 in Aiken County, but Augusta, at least Bushfield, has reached the low 80s this afternoon. They're currently at 80. Same thing in Louisville, one of the warmer spots. Even up at the lake, they're only a couple degrees from 80. So yeah, I wish I was up at the lake. It's fantastic up there now. Now inside the metro, 78 degrees at Daniel Field. Very nice conditions, and expecting to hang on to nice conditions through this evening. No rain in the forecast until we get to around daybreak Friday for us. So if you do have any plans this evening, temps generally staying pretty warm, staying in the 60s till around 10 o'clock. We will have a look at some big changes for our Friday in just a little bit. Meredith?
All right, thanks for that, Riley. You might have gotten the alert on your phone just within the hour. An Amber Alert was sent out for a missing Atlanta teenager. Officials believe 16-year-old Jelly Castellanos was abducted. Again, she is from Atlanta. They believe she is in a black Ford Explorer with North Carolina tags. They believe she could be with a man named Melvin Castellanos, who is potentially her father. But again, take a good look at these photos. Please call 911 if you see either of them. The makers of the 2 COVID vaccines in the U.S. are testing now to see if a third shot protects against other variants. Pfizer says their trial includes 144 people who got 2 doses in the phase 1 trial. The trial will be giving a booster shot between 6 and 12 months after earlier doses. They're also considering testing a modified vaccine to protect against the variant that was first identified in South Africa. Moderna, it has also announced a modified vaccine. Moderna's vaccine designed to provide better protection against that very same variant. They say it is to be ready and to be tested in an early stage clinical trial, of course. We'll keep you posted. Access to vaccines, that has been a major problem for rural areas in our country. But health experts say reluctance to getting the shot, that is a much more complicated issue. More than 1 in 5 rural Americans say they don't want to get vaccinated. That is according to a new poll by the Beaumont Foundation. The president of the organization says the focus needs to be on better communication.
Among rural communities, generally speaking, there's a distrust of government activity.
We just have to keep talking to people and making sure that they're hearing these messages, because misinformation is going to fill in any silence that is there.
The epidemiologist says concerns should not be dismissed, but respectfully addressed. After all, it is a personal choice. He says leaders, though, need to assure people that no corner cutting happened during the vaccine development. Health providers also need to stress to the patients that vaccines are both safe and effective. This afternoon, the Biden administration passed its halfway mark towards its vaccination goals. Natalie Brand breaks down that and where the latest COVID relief bill now stands.
President Biden and Vice President Harris are marking more than 50 million COVID vaccine shots delivered, more than halfway to the goal of 100 million shots in their first 100 days.
This administration will follow the science to deliver more breakthroughs.
First day that I got the shot, I felt fine. The next day, I realized I needed to take it a little slow. And then the day after, it was like nothing ever happened, but I knew I was vaccinated.
Earlier, the vice president spoke about her experience with the vaccine at a grocery store pharmacy, as she and health experts are stepping up efforts to speak to those who may be hesitant about receiving the shot.
As we've been talking about reopening and getting back to normal, or better than normal, that we recognize how critical vaccination is to that process.
The president's $1.9 trillion COVID relief package gets its first real test Friday with a vote scheduled in the House, but their version is expected to include a $15 minimum wage provision, which could hit a snag in the Senate.
We must pass a minimum wage bill.
The parliamentarian is expected to rule soon on whether the provision can be included in the Senate version of the bill through budget reconciliation.
The correct ruling would be to say that the budget process cannot be used to pass substantive legislation.
This afternoon, the president will address a virtual meeting of the National Governors Association focusing on pandemic response and the economic recovery.
According to the CDC, fewer than 10% of Americans have gotten both doses of the vaccine so far. The FDA is expected to vote as soon as this weekend on whether or not to authorize Johnson & Johnson's one-dose vaccine under emergency use. We're working on a story about what that means here locally, coming up in just half an hour, so stick around. President Biden is removing former President Trump's pause on green cards. Trump signed an executive order last year saying he wanted to reserve jobs and healthcare access for citizens. The Migration Policy Institute estimates that ban affected about 26,000 people every single month. President Biden is revoking that order, saying it separated U.S. citizens from their families and caused employers to lose out on potential talent. Prosecutors now have former President Donald Trump's tax records. Trump's accounting firm was forced to hand the data to New York's district attorney on Monday. It reportedly contains millions of pages, including financial statements and other work papers from 2011 all the way through 2019. All of this is part of an investigation the DA is conducting into whether or not Trump and his organization engaged in insurance, tax, or other types of fraud. Less than a week after the statue, a Georgia church facing backlash for being inclusive of the LGBTQ community. Now we're hearing what those involved with the church have to say. That's when we get back. But first, Riley.
Well, we did see a number of controlled burns across the area again. That was popping up on radar for us. No burning out there tomorrow. We'll take a look at some big changes for your Friday next.
A new federal report stirring up fears in parents.
So I immediately clicked on it. I wanted to know more.
A congressional report revealed significant toxins found in baby food after baby food. Tonight on News 12 at 6 o'clock.
gymnastics coach with ties to Larry Nassar committing suicide today. Now, this comes just hours after John Gedart was charged with 24 crimes, including human trafficking. Now, all these charges are the latest in the sexual abuse scandal involving Nassar, a former Michigan State University sports doctor who is now in prison. We told you yesterday a Georgia church was ousted from the Southern Baptist Convention for being inclusive of LGBTQ members. Well, now we are hearing from those at Townview Baptist Church in Kennesaw. Adam Murphy brings us what members think about this decision.
In the heart of downtown Kennesaw, the talk of the town is all about a local church and its love for everyone.
Honestly, I don't think that was right for everyone else to kind of give them backlash about it. I mean, God does love everybody.
Townview Baptist Church on Shiloh Road caught wind this week that they had been voted out of the Southern Baptist Convention for accepting LGBTQ members.
We will not appeal. We're not going to fight it. They have the way our denomination operates. They have rights to make decisions about their membership, and we as a local church have the right and responsibility to make our decisions.
The decision cost the church 30% of their membership initially, but has since opened the door for others like Brockton Bates.
Them welcoming myself and my partner here has just been, it's been wonderful.
My husband and I are raising 2 little boys, and it's important for us to be able to say, when we say Jesus loves everybody, that really includes everybody.
We had a partnered lesbian couple that came to worship with us in tears after the service. They just simply said, thank you for welcoming us.
And I hope that you'll ask God to free you from any fear that you might have.
The message from the pulpit of Jim Conrad's church is and always will be one of inclusion, not exclusion.
I hope giving hope for folks to know that they will not be alone, for folks to know that whatever they've heard in the past, that God really does love them, and to understand that God loves them as He created them.
The Southern Baptist Convention expelled another church in Louisville, Kentucky for the very same reason. They also expelled 2 other churches for employing pastors convicted of sex offenses. Perseverance, it is sending HD photos back from Mars. The rover transmitting 142 images it took where it landed. The cameras are positioned equivalent to eye level for a 6.5-foot tall person. So Riley, a little shorter than you. You're looking at a stitch job NASA did to put some of those photos together to create a 360-degree panorama. If you look in the distance, you can see the cliff face of an old river delta. Riley, what they are able to bring us from Mars right now is mind-blowing. It's like a movie, and we're going to learn so much more in the coming days and months just from these images.
I haven't seen that yet. That was absolutely incredible. I had no clue they were coming out with HD photos of this stuff. I mean, wow, I'm looking forward to what else is to come from that rover. Phenomenal shots there. And we got a phenomenal shot here looking up Washington Road. It was beautiful out there today, folks. Hopefully you were able to drive around with the windows down. It was one of those days for us. We're at 78 degrees inside Bobby Jones, but Bushfield did get all the way up to 81, possibly even 82 degrees between hourly observations. Got to wait to see what that climate report says here within the next 15, 20 minutes. We are expecting a warm evening, temps generally staying in the 60s through 8 p.m. and then gradually dipping into the 50s and upper 40s by early tomorrow morning. And then we are going to see some big changes on Friday, folks. Not expecting as warm a temps by any means. Most of us here in Augusta and north of Augusta should stay in the 40s and 50s pretty much all day long on Friday. Now, if you live south of Augusta, you have the potential to hit the 60s, possibly even 70s tomorrow afternoon, but definitely not the beautiful weather we've seen the past few days. There's going to be the chance for some scattered showers Friday, but not anticipating everybody to see rain. I think there will be people that stay completely dry on Friday, but just grab that umbrella before you head out the door early tomorrow morning. Those rain chances are looking mostly highest after lunchtime for us into the afternoon, and if you live north of Augusta, you have a much higher chance of seeing rain than our neighbors to our south. So once again, depending on where you live in the CSRA, will determine how high your rain chances are. For us here in Augusta, we're going to be right on the fringe. I think we have a good shot at seeing a few showers on Friday. Not anticipating an all-day rain, though. Most of that all-day rain should stay well to our north of the region. So as far as rain totals, not necessarily looking too impressive for us. We are expecting to see less than an inch of rain everywhere across the viewing area tomorrow. And the good news is, this will clear out as we head towards Saturday morning. We'll hang on to some clouds, maybe some patchy fog early Saturday, but a warm front's actually going to be lifting north of us throughout the day on Saturday. And since that warm front lifts north, it's going to bring back that warm air for us. We should be able to see much above normal temperatures once again heading into our Saturday afternoon. And then on Sunday, we're talking mid to low 80s, so even warmer for the end of the weekend. Now, with that type of heat and extra moisture, can't rule out some pop-up showers Sunday afternoon, but not looking like a big deal for most of us. Monday's definitely a better chance to see more widespread rainfall.
Ooh, but man, let's get out and enjoy the weekend. This has been beautiful. Thanks, Riley. If you think you know what your kids are up to online, I hate to break it to you, but we probably don't know everything. Yes, that's me included. Coming up, how to make sure your children are safe from predators.
Get more.
The pandemic affects life as we know it in all regards, and the same is true for the dangers children face online. The National Centers for Missing and Exploited Children say there was nearly a 100% increase in the number of reports of sex predators enticing children online. Our consumer technology reporter Jamie Tucker takes a closer look at how parents can protect their children.
It is a disturbing trend made worse by the pandemic. Kids online, predators online trying to reach them. They use social media and a couple of other tricks to try to get kids to look at pornography.
In 2019, we received 16.9 million reports. Now, this is everything from the grooming and luring of children to sextortion, to child pornography, to child sex trafficking.
But child advocate Callahan Walsh from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children says during the pandemic, that number jumped to 21 million reports, all through computers and devices.
These exploiters are early adopters of technology. They understand how to elude law enforcement. They know how to be anonymous online.
Social media is a landmine. According to the study, Facebook itself reported over 20 million incidents in 2020, many of those likely from its Instagram platform. Misleading domain names jumped from 838 reports to over 3,000 last year. This can be when the bad guy registers a domain with a slightly different spelling, and when someone types in the misspelled domain, they're taken to a porn site. And they use chat apps. The website Omegle and apps Whisper and Kick allow for sharing and anonymous chats with strangers. I asked Walsh, how can parents protect their kids without constantly looking over their shoulder?
One is try to understand the technology, and the best way to do that is to download the apps that your children are using. Get on there yourself, sign up, create a profile, friend your child. Make sure you know how the communication platform works.
There are some warning signs that parents can spot with just a quick look at their computer or their smartphone. We're going to talk about that and a couple of other things to look for next time. That's What the Tech. I'm Jamie Tucker.
Now, parents will need to take notes next time. If you suspect your child has been contacted by a sex predator online, you are urged to report it at missingkids.org. A paper trail here, very important. Riley?
For our Friday, we are expecting much cooler temps and rain, but the weekend is looking great once again. Now look at that forecast for you just after the break. Oh, poor guy, man.
I know, ouch.
I'm so glad they saved him. Man, he's got a... Obviously, he feels much lighter now. What'd they say, the weight of a kangaroo?
Yeah, 70-something pounds. I can't...
At your Lexus dealer.
Talk about a quarantine cut. Check this out on a wild sheep in Australia. He was found with more than 70 pounds of wool. That is nearly half the weight of an adult kangaroo. Sheep are supposed to be shorn at least once a year or their wool just continues to grow, which is exactly what happened here. Rescuers found him and finally cut off the 78 pounds of wool. The best part about all of this? Rescuers named him Barack. He is now at a shelter with other rescued sheep. Riley, it gives me anxiety looking at him like that. If you've ever had a matted dog, you know one little mat is bad. That is full of mats.
Oh, poor guy, man.
I know, ouch.
I'm so glad they saved him. Man, he's got a... Obviously, it feels much lighter now. What they say, the weight of a kangaroo?
Yeah, 70-something pounds. I can't. Ouch. That poor baby.
Poor little sheep there, but glad he's in better hands now. We are expecting rain chance to go up tomorrow. I'd grab that umbrella before you head out the door tomorrow, but luckily the weekend looking mostly dry for us. Can't rule out a few isolated showers Sunday, but not looking likely for most of us. Better chance for rain on Monday, and then we do get back down to the 60s by later next week.
All right, thanks for that, Riley. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Richard Rogers taking a seat next to me. We'll see you after the break.
Every morning all over the country.